The yeas are 49 and the nays are 50. The amendment is not agreed to. Okay.
Madam President,
Senator from Oklahoma.
I have a parliamentary inquiry before I begin. Parliamentary inquiry. On page 225, line 23, it appears that the 7B disaster loan program allocates $460 million, but only $70 million is for the actual disaster loans. The other $390 million appears to be allocated for administrative costs of the program. Could the clerk please read page 225, line 20 through page 226, line 2 to confirm the administrative cost for this program is $390 million and the grant program itself is only $70 million.
The clerk will read the section of the amendment.
To $460 million to carry out the disaster loan program authorized by Section 7B of the Small Business Act 15 U.S.C. 636B, of which $70 million shall be for the cost of direct loans authorized by such section, and $390 million shall be for administrative expenses to carry out such program.
I call up my amendment 1031 and ask that it be reported by number.
The clerk will report by number.
Senator from Oklahoma, Mr. Lankford for himself, and Mr. Daines proposes an amendment numbered 1031 to amendment numbered 891.
I ask for unanimous consent for 3 minutes of debate equally divided.
Without objection.
Madam President, millions of Americans see a sonogram and they see a child. They count 10 fingers, they count 10 toes, they watch that little girl in the womb suck her thumb. They see a child. Science notes that the DNA of that child in the womb is different than the DNA of the mom and different than the DNA of the dad. It is both confirmed by science that that is a baby, and it is self-evident by just looking at her in the womb. That's a child. Millions of Americans see that. Because we have such a divide in this nation, where some people see every child as valuable and some people see only some children as valuable, because we've had that divide that's unresolved in our nation, we have for decades, in every appropriation bill, had the Hyde Amendment that did not force Americans to have to pay for abortion procedures for the death of children. We've also had that in all 5 COVID bills that we have agreed together on in the last 12 months. This partisan bill, mysteriously, the Hyde Amendments disappear. And suddenly now, for the first time, Americans who profoundly believe that children are of great value and should be protected will be compelled with their tax dollars to pay for the destruction of life. This simple statement is that we should maintain Hyde protections in this bill as we have the previous 5 COVID bills.
Madam President.
The senator from Washington.
Madam President, it is frustrating, but not at all surprising, that in the middle of a pandemic, as we are working to get urgently needed relief to our families, to our small businesses, and our communities across the country, some Republicans would rather spend time launching political attacks on reproductive health. That is exactly what this amendment is, an effort to expand restrictions on abortion that already make it harder for women who have low incomes, often women of color, to exercise the constitutionally guaranteed right to make their own health care choices. I oppose this amendment because it is completely unnecessary. It is a harmful attempt to distract us from the work that we are on tonight. So, Madam President, I raise a point of order that the pending amendment produces budgetary changes that are merely incidental to the non-budgetary components of the amendment and therefore violates Section 313B1D of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974.
Madam President.
Senator from Oklahoma.
Madam President, in the middle of a pandemic, we shouldn't be dealing with abortion funding. So I would say, pursuant to Section 904 of the Congressional Budget Act, I move to waive, and I ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Mr. Blunt, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mr. Braun, Mr. Brown, Mr. Burr, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cardin,